और जो पार्टिसिपेंट इसमें नहीं आ पाएंगे तो कोशिश कर रहे हैं कि उनको यूट्यूब का लाइव लिंक दे देंगे ताकि वो वहां से ज्वाइन हो सकते हैं।
किसी को कुछ कहना है तो अभी आप बता दें। फीडबैक फॉर्म भरा है, मतलब मैक्सिमम किसी ने ऐसा है जिन्होंने नहीं भरा।
यस मैम। हाँ मैम, बस उसको करेगा, उसकी लिंक और भेज दो ग्रुप में। ठीक मैम।
हम लोग उसको और सर के लेक्चर को दोनों को कंटिन्यू आप देख लीजिए, मतलब उसको स्क्रीन को आप ही खुद ले लीजिएगा, क्योंकि सर इतना टेक्नोलॉजी फ्रेंडली नहीं है। तो मेरे ओर से एडमिट करना और पीपीटी में तो कुछ नेटवर्क इश्यूज यहाँ पर आ रहे हैं, ठीक है। तो ये मैं आप लोगों को पीपीटी शेयर कर दे रही हूँ, आप मूव करते रहिएगा। यस, नमस्कार सर।
नमस्कार नमस्कार जी, आपको बहुत बहुत
गुड आफ्टरनून
आज के लिए।
एवरीवन। हाँ जी
आज
जी
के लिए पीपीटी भेज दिए मैंने आपको।
जी जी सर। जी सर, पीपीटी आपकी चला रखी है मैंने ब्रेक में। जी सर। हेड सर आ चुके हैं क्या? एक मिनट देख लें। सर ज्वाइन कर ले, फिर बस 1 मिनट में
हाँ
कंटिन्यू।
हाँ जी 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 जी। सर को रिंग करिए। हेड आ जाए फिर शुरू करो। हेड आ जाए बस 1 मिनट में शुरू करो।
Welcome, sir. Professor Khandelwal sir, welcome. Hope yesterday you have enjoyed companion with all of us. A large number of fans you have created. So this is a fans club again calling you. Hello. Sir, आपका म्यूट है.
I am ready, Jain साहब. I am available.
Sir, most welcome, sir, most welcome.
Let us start now.
यस सर.
Sir.
तो जी सर.
Yesterday we deliberated on the philosophy.
Sir,
Research.
before, sorry, I interrupt you. Before starting a formal welcome,
It's
so
all
now I
right.
would.
I am always welcome. I am always welcome. Don't worry.
Yes. आपकी इतनी ब्लेसिंग्स
Anyway,
हैं हम लोगों पे कि हम उसको मान के ही चलते हैं. और जैसा कल सर ने बताया भी था, और मैं पार्टिसिपेंट को आज फिर बताना चाहूंगी कि जब सर से हमारी बात हुई कि इस टॉपिक पे आपको बोलना है, और रोज का आपका हम जो है 1.5 या 1 आवर का रखेंगे, तो बड़े सरप्राइज हुई थी कि जब सर ने बोला कि हम तो रोज 3 घंटे पढ़ाना चाहते हैं. हमें कहना पड़ा कि नहीं सर, आप उसको कम कर लीजिए. सर ऑलवेज अवेलेबल है. तो सर के फॉर्मल वेलकम के लिए मैं इनवाइट करना चाहूंगी हमारे अभी रिसर्च स्कॉलर मोहित को. मोहित,
Yes, ma'am.
are you here? Yeah, Mohit.
Am I audible to all?
Yeah.
yes.
Good afternoon, everyone. It is a moment of extreme pleasure to welcome our key speaker, who present here to give us knowledge on research publication ethics in this 3 days online lecture series. It is organized by Department of Commerce, Dr. Hari Singh Gaur University, Sagar, with the Association of Indian Accounting Association branch, Sagar. On behalf of all the participants I am Mohit Agarwal, a research scholar, Department of Commerce. Offer my regards to Mr. Professor N.M. Khandelwal sir, the key speaker, and head of the Commerce Department, Professor J.K. Jain sir. Dr. Rupali Saini ma'am, and all the research scholar and the participant joining with us. It is a great privilege and honor to continue this 3 days online lecture series to more know about on it. Thank you, sir. Please continue, sir.
Thank you very much for welcoming me once again. Yesterday, we have deliberated on research philosophy or philosophy in research. As you know that everybody who is doing PhD or who have done PhD, they are awarded degree of Doctor of Philosophy. They are never given degree of any faculty, but it is called Doctor of Philosophy. But we hardly realize this thing. Most of the guides and most of the research scholars, they fail to realize this thing, that what are the general philosophical aspects of research, and then what is a subject specific philosophy. Every subject has got its own philosophy. On that, hardly any student has got patience to listen to the guide, or guide has time to talk about it. So this difficulty is there. So I would like to suggest to my friend Professor Jain sir that in pre-PhD program, the philosophy of research and subject specific philosophy both may be included if possible. Secondly, I would like to say that yesterday, for the want of time, I could not touch upon 2 points from slide 4. One is process of moral development. We know that from our childhood in the family, we learn several things from our parents and other members of family. ये डिस्टर्बेंस को थोड़ा कंट्रोल करिए. Western philosophers start process of moral development from family, but Indian philosophy believes that even an embryo in the womb of mother, he starts learning. There are so many examples. Astavakra example is there, Abhimanyu's example is there, our great Bhakta Prahlad example is there, who learnt while they were in the womb of their mother. So learning starts from that, and that is why in Gujarat a child university has been established, where for pregnant mothers an ideal environment is created during their pregnancy so that good child is born. In Bhopal also this type of center was started when Professor M.L. Chipa was the first Vice Chancellor there at Atal Bihari Vajpayee Hindi University, Bhopal. So these experiments have proved this truth of Indian philosophy, that a child starts learning much before his birth in the family. So family environment must be quite ethical, quite good, if we want our progeny to be free from unethical behavior and bad things. Then after his birth, we should be very cautious. Parents and others in the family must be very cautious. We should not expect child to tell untruth. We usually say that someone is knocking at our door. You tell that Papa is not here, and Papa is inside the home, and child is asked to say, to tell a lie. So he learns how to lie and why to lie from his very childhood. So we must be very careful, we must be very cautious in our family. We should give ethical environment to a child from the beginning. Then from neighborhood, people learn so many things. During childhood, what type of company, what type of environment a child is getting in his own area. I was surprised when my son was telling some abuses. He was using some abuses while talking. I was surprised that from where he has learnt. I made an inquiry. I came to know that at my uncle's shop, rural people, Gujar, Dudiyas, etc., they come. They sit there, relax for a while, and they use abusive language. So from them he learnt. One day I was noticing this thing for my grandchild also, grandson. So I asked him that from where you have learnt all these abuses. He was not willing to give answer, but I came to know from my own inquiries that in a very good public school he is studying. I talked to the principal. He told me that under RTE, several students from lower strata of the society have been admitted. So we are helpless. What type of company our students are getting, we have no control over that. So in the school also, teachers must be aware of this thing. School administration must also be cautious that if we are not ethical in our practices, then from student life, a young person will get exposure to bad things from the beginning. Then after this completion of education, when he joins some organization, then he finds that most of the ethical problems start from the top of the organization. Bottleneck of the bottle lies on the top of the bottle. Cork is there. So this is a statement given by Peter Drucker, that problem lies at the top of the bottle, not at the surface or below level. गंगा अगर गंगोत्री पर ही दूषित हो गई तो उसको फिर कहीं भी सफाई करोगे तो उसका कोई अर्थ नहीं रहता. तो गंगोत्री पर तो उसको साफ रखना बहुत जरूरी है. इन एनी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन ethics flow down from up. It never moves from down to up. So in most of the organizations, the difficulty is this, that top people, they don't care about ethics in their practices, and then a new entrant in the organization is in a fix what to do, what not to do. So I advise my own students that if you are facing this type of dilemma in any organization where you join, then please wait for proper time to come. When you reach the top position, then you execute your own ideas and value system. Till then you have to keep patience. But be on your guard not to take any undue benefit for yourself. If you are working for organization, you are helpless. If your bosses are compelling you, then you have only two options. Either to quit the service and find some ethical organization where you may be able to progress, or you have to hold for the time being, and when you get top position in the organization, then you will be able to put into practice if you are really committed to ethical values. So in this way, process of moral development, we have to understand that why people become ethical or unethical. So this process of moral development has to be kept in view. What type of environment, what type of role models we are providing to the youth. You have to see this. When a research guide is not having good ethical standards, then he should not expect his students to be more ethical from himself. So we have to become a role model. In no company where top management is not ethical, so other people will become ethical, or they will be able to survive. It is very difficult to think about it. So in university system or in any organization, in a consultancy organization, everywhere, we have to see this thing, whether organization really puts into practice the ethical values or not. Now, next point was limitations of ethics. Some limitations I have already hinted to you. I may repeat some important points related to this. There is nothing like absolute ethics. In real practice, relativism has to be applied. Or for this, wise people say that adopt the middle path. Don't go to extremes. Ethics are like salt. If no salt is there, then also food is not tasty. If more salt is added, then also the food is spoilt. It is not fit for eating. So we have to maintain a fine balance in ethical practice. Who can teach ethics? For this, Maharishi Vedvyas has laid down very strict conditions. One must have knowledge of Shastras, number one. He must put these values into practice in his own life. Then he is entitled to talk about ethics. Otherwise, his preachings will not have any value. People will not give or pay any attention to what he says. This is very much correct, and we take example from Jesus Christ's life. When several people gathered to throw stones on him, then a call was given: who has never committed any wrong in the life, who is not a sinner, only he should throw the first stone. The whole group disappeared from there, because they could not find a person who has not committed any wrong in his life, and he will be allowed to throw the stone on Jesus Christ. So then ethical environment is created by leadership. So leader has to live these values in his life. Only then organization will become as per his expectation. So beginning has to be made from the top itself. Without that, ethical environment cannot be created. Now I start with today's topic, that how we have to apply ethics in the field of research. Today we will concentrate on the research itself, and tomorrow, last day, we will cover the publication ethics. Today we have to make a beginning with a reference to a very standard book on business research methods by Donald R. Cooper and Pamela S. Schindler. The publisher is Tata McGraw-Hill Company. This is a celebrated book in research methodology, and all scholars in business field, business research field, they should not miss this book. They must go through it during their coursework, Chapter 5, in the first part of the book itself, is devoted to ethics in research. And a very interesting dimension has been added in the latest book of the edition, that now e-frontier has been opened. E-frontier throws so many challenges so far as ethics in research are concerned, right from formulation to research plan to the submission of report, through the field work, preparation of research instruments, then data preparation, data analysis. At every stage, computer can be used. It can be help, good aid to research, but don't allow to become your master. Don't leave things to computer only. You have to apply your mind. I have met some research scholars, would-be research scholars, who asked me, "Sir, you suggest us some website from where we can get all the data, everything, and then someone may prepare our thesis." So they don't want to do research. They want ready-made thesis through electronic frontier. So this is highly unethical thing, unbecoming of a researcher. So a researcher should not misuse electronic devices. So the exact quotation I reproduce for your benefit. In the new e-frontier, one set of protagonists or merchants would like to be the cowboys, free to roam the range and continue to share, rent or sell information they have collected about citizens without any fences or conditions. They are a big threat to the privacy of individuals. Lot of legal restrictions have been put, but still we know that none of us is safe so far as privacy is concerned. We must be aware of the fact that all these merchants, big merchants, multinational companies, they have our private data also. They are using it several times. When I consult some doctor, immediately I will get at least 12 messages on my mobile itself. How they come to learn that what type of disease I am suffering from and why I have consulted a doctor. It means all these merchants are having very deep links with these systems, and none of us is safe so far as privacy is concerned. So this type of problem is there. Then these celebrated authors have pointed out certain important things which we must remember before I start with my own PPT. One thing is this, that why ethics are needed for a researcher. Here the answer is this, that all parties should exhibit ethical behavior. Researcher, guide, sponsor. In big projects, research staff should also behave ethically. And then respondents or participants, they should also observe ethics. The purpose of ethics is this, that no party related with research must come to any harm, physical or legal. We take example from medical research. If testing is done on human beings, then danger to his life may also be there. So, researcher and sponsor to the research, they have to arrange for the protection of the person. You know that any medical surgeon will start operation only after taking written undertaking from the relatives of the patient that he will not be responsible for any adverse consequences of the operation. So, goal of ethics is this only, that no party related with research must come to any harm due to research activity. We may take certain examples of unethical activities related to research. Violation of non-disclosure agreement or secrecy or confidentiality clause of the agreement. This can be noticed very frequently in several cases. Violating participants' identity. Disclosing participants' identity. This is also unethical behavior. Misreporting the results, manipulation in the result, change of data or change of interpretation under pressure. So, violation of participants' confidentiality, sometimes it is also noticed. Misrepresenting of results, then deceiving the people with certain intentions. For getting better response from respondents in the field work, we give them false expectations, we make false promises sometimes. This research is going to benefit you in this way or that way, which may not be real. It might have been created only. So this amounts to cheating or deceiving people. This should be avoided. We must obtain voluntary consent of the respondent by giving truthful, fairly truthful information at least, that how he is going to be benefited by this research project and what type of data he is expected to provide. Bogus and fake invoicing also take place. In the matter of research grant, I share with you my own personal experience when I was working as Dean and Director of MBA program, Faculty of Management Studies at MDS University Ajmer. My colleague got some research grant. He came to my chamber to submit account to seek the certificate of utilization for submission to funding agency. He utilized the whole amount in photocopying only. So the whole amount was utilized and one cash receipt was given to me. I asked him that, have you gone through the headwise allocation of your grant? No sir, I am not aware. You must have gone through the letter of sanction. How can you utilize the whole amount on photocopying only? I made inquiries from the market. I came to know that that was the bogus invoice. It was not genuine, it was fake or created to put a false claim. After that, that gentleman has committed so many unethical things in the university. But this is just a beginning, I may say. He made this type of beginning. I checked him, I warned him, but he did not heed to my warning. And he continued with his own unethical behavior as research guide as well as a researcher. He faced suspension also, and still some criminal cases pending against him. Avoiding liabilities, etc., we do certain acts in the course of research, but we try to avoid our liabilities. And findings of a survey conducted in USA discloses like this: 80% organizations have ethical code of conduct for research. But it is on paper only. In most of the cases, it is not effective in actual practice. This is the sorry state of affairs in a developed country like USA, where almost 4% of revenue is spent on research. And corporate sponsorship for research comes in a big way. In India, it is hardly 0.4%. We aim to become a very fast developing economy. We want that our universities must rank amongst top 100 universities of the world. Without quality research, this will not be feasible. This dream can come true only when those who are associated with research, they accept it as a challenge. Ethical challenge is also there. So we have to make significant contribution so far as research is concerned. New education policy has also provided for National Research Fund. From there also good projects will be funded. So in America also, this is a big problem, big issue, that 80% organizations have ethical code of conduct for research and researchers, but code is not effective in actual practice. So there is wide gap between what is on paper and what is in actual practice. Then approach to ethics. Two types of approaches are there. One is advocating strict compliance with law or code of research. It is found to be difficult in actual practice due to unforeseen constraints put on researchers. For example, Germany as a nation has got war history, and they have put severe restrictions on medical research. They are afraid of disclosure of research findings to enemy countries, rivals. So Germany as a nation has been deprived of latest developments in the field of medical science, biotechnology, etc., because as per government policy, German universities are not allowed to promote research in those areas. In Japan also, due to war history, some restrictions on research have been put at national level. There are several ethical controversies also, whether a patient on deathbed should be allowed to die voluntarily, should he be permitted to do santhara like Jainism. All these are controversial issues. So expert now, अपने second approach to ethics are follow the middle path, relativism, ethical relativism. Absolute ethics may not be put into practice due to several constraints. So ethical relativism or middle path is followed In our university system, we find that at departmental level there is a departmental research council or committee having internal as well as external experts as members. Then the research vigilance or supervision committee is also there to oversee the progress of a PhD scholar's work. Periodical reports are to be submitted, then some guidance is provided to the students through guide. The committee system is there. So this is the middle path. A candidate or a potential candidate for PhD registration will submit his tentative research plan. He will make presentation in the DRC and experts will express their own opinion. Candidate will be allowed the opportunity to defend his own plan, and then finally he is given an opportunity to resubmit it after carrying out certain changes decided by the worthy members of the committee. Similarly, strictly he may not be able to follow the research plan. Some deviations may be there. So expert committees take into consideration all these things. They may appreciate the difficulties faced by the researcher, and then some appropriate remedies are suggested by them in their best collective wisdom. So this is the middle path so far as ethics of research are concerned. So this is being followed at most of the universities in India and abroad. So far as ethical treatment of participants is concerned or respondents is concerned, we know about several methods of primary data collection. So one thing is this, that researcher must ensure or sponsor must ensure that no physical harm comes to any participant in the research work. Discomfort should be avoided, pain must be avoided, embarrassment must be avoided, and privacy of respondent must be protected. Now see, we have telephonic surveys. We conduct surveys on the basis of cyberspace also. Online surveys are also conducted. We are not face to face with the respondent. We don't know that when we are making a call, whether it is convenient time for him or not. So a field worker or a researcher, they must take care of all these aspects, that whether our respondent is comfortable or not. They must ensure it first and then start their dialogue. I get several phone calls from financial marketeers, very sweet voices. I listen. Sir, you take this insurance or you apply for housing loan or this, that. I tell them that, do you have any information about me, to whom you are talking, what is my age, whether I am eligible for this or not. So why are you wasting your time and my time both? So all these interferences are there, and that may cause lot of difficulty, lot of interference in personal life of respondents. So in all these surveys, those who conduct field work, they must try to ensure that the respondent is not put to discomfort. When you want to take response, then first explain benefits from study, not benefit to the scholar, but benefit to the respondent or participant. How he is going to be benefited by your study, you have to convince him. You have to explain to participant that what type of rights or privileges and protections he will have. Then obtain his informed consent. Don't put pressure. And keep a written record of his consent in your file. At the time of Viva OC, any external examiner can ask you to show your file of the field work, whether you obtained informed consent or not. So it can help you in getting the degree. So all this paperwork you must do. Now, in actual practice, what happens that a research scholar had learned some nice things, how to introduce himself or herself to the respondent, how to start dialogue with him. So in the beginning, first visit, perhaps he will not talk about benefits of the study or participants' rights to give informed consent, etc. Because in Indian condition we know that if we start our contact with these dialogues, then perhaps our respondent will say, "Excuse me, I have no time." So you will miss the respondent yourself. So first you have to make him comfortable, and then you talk about these difficult things, mostly unknown in Indian environment to respondent and researcher both. But anyway, this is part of ethics for the field work, so we have to keep in view. So the deception may be used only for some justifiable purpose, not in order to encourage the response rate in a survey. For example, sponsor's name should be disclosed or not in case of marketing surveys, etc., or in case of political opinion surveys, pre-poll surveys, etc. The name of a sponsor should be disclosed or not, it is a critical issue. If you disclose name that Congress is the sponsor of this survey or BJP is the sponsor of this survey, then perhaps the people will give biased response. Some people will excuse, they will say, I don't know. That the safest answer will be, I don't know. If you ask them, are you satisfied with the performance of the present Prime Minister, present Chief Minister of the state? Then they will say, excuse me, I have no time to talk to you. They will run away. So, in such case, deception is justified, that you have to keep the sponsor's name secret in order to make the survey successful. Then third party protection is also important. Then your sponsor of the project should not come to any harm through your field work. For that purpose also some deception may be justified. We take example from hospitals. A doctor is very much aware that condition of a patient is worsening. Chances of saving his life are very dim. Still he would not be able to tell the truth to his members of family, because it may lead to some other problems. The crisis situations may arise if truth is disclosed in such critical moments. So medical ethics will permit a doctor to hide certain vital things from patient as well as from his attendants. So that is justified in that case. And we can't say that this should not have been done. Now, in modern time, data mining takes place in case of cyber data sources. Then in this case also, privacy and informed consent, these two important aspects we have to keep in view. We should not breach the privacy as well as the consent requirement. Sponsors' ethics are there, that a sponsor has got a right to quality research conducted ethically. He is also entitled to non-disclosure of his identity as a sponsor. He is entitled to usable findings also. Now, sponsors sometimes behave unethically so far as business research by consulting organizations are concerned. Right to quality research, matlab he is going to violate the participants' confidentiality. Sometimes he will disclose that so and so has certified my product to be super product. Just a marketing gimmick. He may use it. His photograph may also be used, his identity may also be disclosed. So, sponsor of such marketing research, they may misuse it. Non-disclosure, then next is changing data for desired finding. He has paid money and he is looking for some favorable findings from the researcher. So he is not comfortable with adverse findings. Sometimes he attempts to change the data itself. Data fudging takes place in order to get a desired finding. Interpretation is also changed. Bias plays its own role. Sometimes whole data is not allowed to be analyzed, but selective data may be analyzed and some data may be left out completely from analysis. So sponsors exert their pressures like this. Then findings sometimes go beyond the data available. So sponsors, they press the researcher or research organization to provide finding in their favor, and they expect them to go beyond the findings for which data may not exist on record. So these are unethical behavior points of a sponsor. But as research scholars of PhD level or post-PhD level, we usually don't depend upon business support or support from such funding sources which have certain bias in their mind. Suppose you take example from अपने funding you accept from ASHOCHEM, CII, FICCI, Fair Trade Association. So like so many trade bodies are there. If you take money from them for doing research, then they expect certain type of findings. They will exert pressure on a researcher. So for our research scholars, I would advise that they should accept funding only from impartial or independent organizations who are not going to exert any pressure on them. For example, UGC is there, ICSSR is there, or Government of India's Department of Scientific Research is there. So, if it is a government organization not controlled by any political arm, then it is okay. If you know that they will exert certain pressure, which has happened already in case of certain topmost central universities also. So we should be on our guard that our funding agency must be impartial and independent, and they should not be allowed to exert pressure on researchers for certain type of bias findings. So we have to be very cautious while accepting any funding support for the research. Now I move to the PPT given by me for today's program. First point is selection of research topic. When you select topic, usually what happens that your guide will advise you to select a topic which is convenient for him. Sometimes you are in search of a soft option. That's in your cupboard. What type of theses are there? Let me see them. Out of that, I will take some project. Means already something has been done and you are in search of a soft option where you will be able to get your degree without much difficulty. When I met my research guide, he told me about research topic. Then most humbly I told him that, sir, allow me this privilege. Please allow me this privilege. I will make my choice and let you know. I selected a topic on which no research work has been done in India. Mine project was first of that type. When I submitted thesis, my guide told me, my dear boy, you are very smart. Your thesis, most of the examiners will not be able to understand, and you will get your degree certainly. Anyway, but if you have some innovative research topic, then several others will follow your model and you will earn a name and fame. But if you go for a soft topic, soft option, then perhaps me too type research will be there. I know about one department of accounting in India where more than 100 PhDs are on the similar area of work, financial statement analysis. Most of them have used ratio analysis only. So this type of me too type research may not bring you great laurels. But if you want that your name and fame must be there as a good researcher, then have some patience, have some boldness to select a good topic. Then how title of research should be formulated? For that, I have come across several cases where titles of thesis are misleading. Title must be a true reflector of contents of your thesis. Suppose you have done a case study, then title must disclose this. Don't go for high sounding macro level titles that human resource practices in India. Human resource practices in India. and inside your thesis only one organization you have studied, then don't you are trying to mislead or cheat people. Don't put this type of title on your research. Make truthful disclosure that it is only a case study of one company. Or if you have selected companies from one state only, then you must disclose in the title itself that a case study of Gujarat state or any other state like that. To make like this. Some industries represent the whole nation, like Indian Railways. Then a study of HR practices in Indian Railway, you can say. Or if you have selected some division of railway or some specific, then specify it. Don't say that it relates to Indian Railway. Or then you don't title it like that railways in India. No. Because only one public sector enterprise is there. No other competitor is there. It is a big monopoly. Suppose you study LIC. LIC itself is a case, big case, equivalent to one industry and one nation also. So title will be adequate if you say that HR practices in Life Insurance Corporation of India. Then there is no need to say HR practices in India. So you have to specify the industry itself then in the title. Then if it is related to only one point of time, then specify it. If it is related to some time period, then in the title you specify from this year to that year. So full disclosure must be there. Then sometimes people do exploratory research. Then they find out that all data are available, even derived statistics is also available. You go to website of Bombay Stock Exchange or a Capital Line, you can buy data, ready-made data are available. But then before undertaking any research, you have to justify your research work which you want to undertake. So after literature survey or literature review, you must be able to identify or underline the research gap. Which gap you want to fulfill. If exploratory research makes it clear that it has already been done and no scope exists, then you should not undertake such a topic. I give you two examples which I had privilege to examine both these theses. One was for delete. So RBI had already appointed one committee on that topic and its report was available with RBI Research Department. The fellow was over smart. He got copy of that report and then presented his delete thesis without giving any acknowledgement. Then on charge of unfair means, his delete degree was detained. So don't be over smart. If no scope for research is there, then leave that area at that point itself. After exploratory research, you should stop it and find some other area, other topic. Another gentleman submitted thesis on black money economy of India. He did not disclose that he was referring to a recently submitted report on black money. Professor Cabra committee's report had come. but he did not acknowledge it anywhere in the thesis. I could understand that he has copied from that document without acknowledging. We will come to this thing tomorrow also, that this amounts to plagiarism. But anyway, I want to tell you that if Kabra Commission has already done the job, then what is the fun in undertaking the same topic for your PhD work? And using that report of Kabra committee without acknowledging it. So I just submitted a mild report to the university that thesis may be revised because there is no original contribution from the side of the researcher. So he has to find out what he can do. But Vice Chancellor happened to be a man of economics. So she could understand my intention. She appointed third examiner, and to the great misfortune of the candidate, he was Professor Kabra himself. So the whole work was rejected. Don't undertake this type of risk of selecting a topic on the basis of exploratory research when no justification exists for research work on that particular topic. Research plan has also so many ethical dimensions involved in it. Due to shortage of time, I have to be brief now. Research plan is put to scrutiny in departmental research committees. Then it is finalized after two-way communication. But anyway, no research plan can be final unless it is executed in practice. Some revisions cannot be ruled out when research work progresses. Funding agency choice, I already dealt with this thing. We should not use the lamppost for standing there instead of for lighting, or putting cart before horse. Marketing research people promote a product. We have example of concept selling in case of elections. Opinion polls, opinion surveys are there. And as a researcher, we can understand that some political compulsions are there and some bias may be there. We have to accept their findings only with grain of salt. Unfounded academic and social expectations. 5 questionnaires were appended in the end. Throughout thesis, I could not find use of any primary data. So I raised this issue. What is the fun in putting these questionnaires when no primary data is there in the research thesis? Candidate and guide both had a very tough time to defend their action. So this type of unethical claim should not be put when you have no primary data to show or to use. Then what is the fun in appending questionnaires at the end of the thesis? Similarly, what is the original contribution? A research scholar must underline it very well, highlight very well what is his own original contribution. If you give quotations after quotations only and you have nothing to express your own opinion. Dear research scholars, you may quote someone, good author, it's all right. But for what? Either to take support of his views or to confront him. If you are not doing anything after giving quotation, neither you are taking his support nor you are confronting him, then it is useless. It is simply, you are trying simply to add to the volume of your thesis only. There is a misconception that thesis must run into 300, 400, 500 pages. I have seen theses in 2 volumes also, running into more than 1000 pages. So, what is the fun in doing all this? I finished my PhD thesis in hardly 200 pages. My own research student submitted his thesis in 125 pages only, and he got award of best PhD thesis of the year at national level. There is no fun in going to increase the size of your thesis by putting unnecessary quotations, unnecessary material. So this will be considered to be violation of ethics if you are quoting people only for fun, not for any serious purpose. Research instruments and data collection ethics, I already discussed some aspects. In covering letter, you try to impress upon the would-be respondent that why he should cooperate in your work. But don't make false claims in that. You have to take informed voluntary consent. But that is the only purpose. Don't try to put words in the mouth of your respondent. Don't formulate questions in such a manner that answer is suggested. Answer is hinted. That is also unethical. Pre-testing through pilot survey should be done in order to make a good research instrument. But several researchers commit this mistake that they mention about pilot survey in research plan, but then they forget about it completely, and in a hurry they complete the questionnaire or schedule, and then most unethical behavior is recording imaginary observations when observation technique is used, filling questionnaires sitting in an air-conditioned room, schedule without field work is filled up. This happens mostly in case of government data collection work. That is why even after 70 years of more than 70 years, or rather 75 years of our independence, that India still does not have reliable government data regarding key aspects of the economy. Lot of controversies are there. If you go to any village, you meet the patwari there, sitting in his office, filling up the questionnaire as government